Hey everybody, think, I think we're set now. Um, Today's been like a really crazy day for me. And I'm just glad that I'm here and I'm glad that all of you are here. Can you just please let me know in the comments section that you're here? Just say hello so that I know who is here. All righty. Um, hmm. I don't see anybody yet. Okay, Regina is here. Hi, Regina. Elise is here. Hello, Elise. Good to see both of you here. I'm really happy about that. Of course, there's Haley and Rich. Hi, Rich. Sharon. Hello, Sharon. Let's see what else we have here. Get rid of that message there. Hi, Susan. Catherine. Hi, Catherine. I know you've been having a fun time down at the beach, so I'm so glad you could make it today. All right. Okay, so we're going to start now, and I appreciate everybody being here. Wonderful day out there today. If any of you are in the Northeast and you haven't been outside yet, oh my gosh. Here in Saratoga, the weather is just absolutely divine. It's perfect. So get outside for a few minutes, soak up 10 minutes of the sun so that you can get it into your system and into your body and help you with healing, okay? Because you know how good the sun is for you for that vitamin D. Today we're going to do a couple of different things. First of all, I wanted to do something called breath work. And as you all know, from my bio, that I'm also a certified Kundalini yoga instructor. But I recently learned a specific demonstration for breath work. And it's very different from a yoga breath, which is generally through your nose, out your mouth. But the way that this works, the way breath work is you utilize it through the mouth only. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. So if you want to get in a relaxed position, I have some music, but I'm not sure that I got a very long one because I just wanted to be able to talk about what we're going to be speaking about today, which is the sacred altar. So I think it's about 7 minutes. So this is what you're going to do. So you want to put your hands on your belly. First of all, you want to be in a relaxed position where you're sitting. And what you do is you take in a deep breath, filling up your belly as opposed to the upper part of your body. Because when you fill this, that's where oftentimes we live. We breathe here. We're not getting all the oxygen that our body really needs. And it's really easy to go into panic or anxiety if you're breathing only from your chest, especially if you start to breathe faster. So, breathing through your mouth and then just kind of letting the breath fall out of your mouth, not forcing it. Now, what this breath work does is, in essence, it's really interesting because, also it helps your immune system, it helps with healing, and it oxygenates the blood. It does a lot of interesting things in terms of the the process that's happening internally, and of course, relaxation. And so I'd like you to try this. And if you are used to doing yoga and you know what a yoga breath is, then I'd really like to understand how you people feel about breath work. So, in a relaxed position, and I'm going to put on this particular music, and it's a little bit different, but it's really good for this kind of work. And it actually is music that they utilize a lot in yoga. Um, so Here we go. See in your mind's eye any guides that you might be aware of coming to you as you breathe in deeply. All right, so come back into the room and you could rub the tops of your thighs, just feeling how you feel at this point.
Someone needs help customizing and saving with Liberty Mutual.
Oh, that's interesting.
No.
And stretching, nice stretch. Hug yourself, loving yourself. Okay. So, how did people experience that? Just kind of curious. Was it good for you? Did you have a problem with the music? Um, Give me an idea. Okay. Hi, Rochelle. Melanie, hi. Okay. Yeah, Catherine, I know. Windy at the beach, right? So, did people get a chance to experience the feeling of that? You could just mark yes in the comments if it was good for you. Okay. So, alrighty. That is, yeah, very relaxing. Yeah. Oops. It seems to want to come back again. All right, you have to go now. So the mother of us all seems to want to come back and say something to us. But anyway, yeah, that's a very good practice. It's very interesting. Music was nice. Yeah. Okay. The Clash distracted you. Okay. Some people, it can be a trigger for some people. They don't really like music when they're doing breath work, and some people, it depends on the kind of music. So it's really an individual thing, an individual process. Um, so it was very drying to inhale and exhale through the mouth. Yeah, people find that too. And there is sort of a technique involved with that. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and you just have to kind of work with it a little bit. But I often find that if you're calling in guides, and the guides that are protecting you, that are surrounding you, or you're calling in a spiritual element, if you do it for, I would say, a half an hour, 20 minutes at least, what it can do is it can give you this sense or this feeling that people have. It like strengthens your the intuitive part of you. And that's a nice benefit from this. But again, it's like anything else. Repetition is the key to being successful with this. You only really have to do it actually for maybe 10 minutes a day, and it can still give you a great benefit. But like many other things that I've mentioned to all of you in this past, well, yesterday, the past 2 days, you really need to have consistency, because consistency is what creates change, right? So what I'm going to do is talk about sacred space today. And it is so incredible to me that sacred space can be such a healing, I want to say dynamic, although it's very peaceful, a very healing dynamic process for me. It's a PowerPoint. It draws on your spiritual strength, and an altar is something that you create that is highly important for families. So families are key to our spiritual development, because in a family, we are gathering, and families are kind of production factories. We're producing food, we're producing social activities, whatever we produce in our homes really it is what societies will become in the future, because we're creating also an environment that is nurturing a future. Even if you're by yourself, you're still doing that same thing. And when you build a home, you are creating a culture that can support and establish spirituality and God consciousness, or you could call it whatever you want, but you know that I'm all about consciousness, and that's the word that I use, is developing awareness, is developing consciousness. And that's one of the things you're doing when you build an altar. Um, I've had an altar in, well, I grew up in a home, first of all, that was filled with a lot of, I would probably say, religious pieces, because I grew up in a Catholic home. My family was very Catholic. And I used to love looking at some of the plaques that we had in Our Lady of Fatima. We had, it's a Catholic thing, but there's all these different things, and I really love them. And we used to attend services when it was done in Latin, and then they switched to English in years later. Um, but I always loved the sense of peace, and I loved when they burned the incense, and because it connected me to a higher source. Now, I didn't have to be in a church setting to do that. And as I got older, I broke away from the Catholicism that I was raised in, but I still really appreciated the pomp and circumstance of it all, and I still do. But I became more Buddhist in a lot of my traditions and a lot of my beliefs. But I'm actually a melting pot of many different things. I love Judaism. You know, my husband's side of the family is Jewish, and I've always loved creating those holidays and bringing that element into the home, because there are so many things that I appreciated about Judaism. So, bringing in a lot of these religious aspects and not dogma, that's what I really am opposed to when it comes to religious beliefs now. And, you know, I think I told you that I studied a very metaphysical form of spirituality called religious science. And this was in Manhattan. And it's not Scientology, but it's all about more of a Christian base. But it's not about the dogma. It's not about, you have to do these tenets or else. But I don't have a problem with people. If that's what really supports them, then you need to do that. You need to do what takes you to a place where you feel centered, where you feel calm, and that's beautiful. I still love going to high mass, because I find that very invigorating, at the same time that it's very peaceful. So there are things about all different religions that I really appreciate. And they're really, across the board, religions really have a basic, beautiful tenet of love. Love seems to permeate most of them. And the only thing that I think doesn't is probably something that's, Satanism. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of, because basically all religions are quite beautiful. And, when you're building consciousness, we're all really working with the same element of spirituality, because what you want is to feel fulfilled, you want to feel love. And when you're building a home, you're building a home environment, you're creating a culture that can support and establish spirituality and this kind of consciousness building. So altars and what we do there have the power to shape and alter the destinies of our families, really. Because fate, we really can't change, but destiny, we can really have a hand in. Because with destiny, it's about our choices, It's about our awareness, about developing awareness. And again, developing consciousness is critical if you want to grow. So, growth is about developing aspects of yourself that might be hidden, that might be underneath something. And as we've talked about, the conditioned self, because the conditioned self, I'm going to repeat this again because I want to make sure that people understand this. The conditioned self is your wounded child. It is the part of you that remains with you forever, but it's the part of you that really can hold you back because of fear, really hold you back because they want to make everything the same. They don't want to have change. And this is one of the reasons why change is so difficult for people if you're in your conditioned self a lot. Because your conditioned self will tell you, no, 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 you don't really want to go there. And it will be very crafty in terms of helping you to just divert yourself into another direction. You may be going in one direction and all of a sudden you find yourself veering off and going into something else or not accomplishing what you really desired. And you might tell yourself intellectually, well, it wasn't a good thing for me or blah, 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 blah. All the things that we can tell ourselves to not stay on track with something. But in reality, if we really go inside and we really think about the difference between our conditioned self and our authentic self, there's a huge difference, and we can identify that quite easily. So, again, when you feel that you have a finger wagging at you, telling you that you're bad or that there is something that you're doing wrong, a lot of times this is the conditioned self acting up. And sometimes it's the needy parent in us too. So, what I've mentioned before is that our parents did the best they could with what they knew at the time. So this really hasn't a lot to do with parent bashing because that's not the idea here. The idea here is to develop awareness so that you can deal with whatever the situation was. And so part of developing this consciousness and this awareness is understanding when you're in your conditioned self and understanding what your authentic self really is. There is a differentiation. So again, when you're feeling bad about yourself, you're not feeling great, when you feel that you have a choice to make and you take the road that is probably easier. Oftentimes that's your conditioned self. And when you don't follow through with something that you really want to accomplish, that's your conditioned self. And your conditioned self, again, it's this wounded child who really is trying to protect itself and protect you because it believes in its child's mind that it's doing the right thing for you. And the way that you can deal with that is by being kind and loving to your wounded child. So you could even have a dialogue with it. You could say, I appreciate you being here. I know that you want to keep me safe, but I am the kind, loving adult and I will take care of you. So I'm going to do this. I appreciate it, but I'm going to do this. This is what I need to do. And some people think that you need to be punitive, but that's just creating, like, oh, why am I thinking that? It's like, I shouldn't be thinking of that. Stupid me. I hear people call themselves stupid all the time. It's like, okay, but you're not stupid. You don't want to reinforce that. You might have done something that you considered to be not the best choice, but you as a person are not stupid. Okay. So these are some of the markers that I want to help people to be aware of as we go along. Because, even after this workshop ends, you're still going to have some of the attributes that you can continue to cultivate, and make it work for you. This is what I'm hoping too. So getting back to altars. So altars and what we do have the power, what we do with them have the power to shape our destinies and our families. So we're building consciousness, like I've been talking about, learning about a deeper part of you, learning how to discern and make choices. Um, that's important because, again, like I said, we pray for our families and we pray for each other. And if you're doing it in a sacred space that has an altar in it, well, the consistency and placement of an altar helps all of that. And it brings a lot of this into a routine. And it's a very simple, I think it's a mindful task. And I'm calling it a task in order to make it. But here are the elements to that. So you want to choose a space. Now, this space can be a corner in your room. It could be your nightstand. It could be the top of a table. Like you're going to see mine in a little while because I'm going to take you in to see mine. I've got mine on the top of a filing cabinet in my office, and it's a beautiful placement for it because there really is no right place. You know, it's just a place that feels like it has a prominence in your home where you can actually sit there uh, and contemplate or pray. Uh, an altar can be used for either one of those things, contemplating, praying, doing some guided imagery. What I used to do a lot with mine is I brought in certain elements of guided imagery of certain things that I was really focusing on. And because I had done it every day, the minute that I would sit down at this space, I really found myself going into another altered state. So again, consistency. And so you want to pick a space that will fit your needs for your family, or if it's just you, or however you want to work that. You have to pick, not that you have to, I don't even know why I said have to, but you want to pick a theme. And because you want to create in your mind and physically what it is that you're creating, so it could be meditation is the theme, it could be relaxation. Perhaps you want to use it to be just inspirational. You want it for strength. You want to strengthen yourself internally. For joy, you want to be able to look at it and feel joyful. It's some people want it for protection, so they'll place certain elements of protection. You want it for remembrance of somebody who's passed on. And that's a really important thing for me because I feel that I'm sort of in communion with that, with those people, having their pictures on my altar, which right now I don't have them because they've all been packed away and I'm just slowly getting them out. But that's one of the things that I do because I have them in another space, which isn't an altar, but it's in a very sacred space. So I have a couple of different spaces, but the one where I actually am being more mindful in terms of, a placement and sitting there and doing prayer or contemplation is this one spot. But every time I look at the picture that has these members of my family that have passed on, it brings me great, great, deep satisfaction. You might want to use it for love. And that love can be of people that you're loving right now, people that are in your life that you want to wish well and that you want to keep in your thoughts and your prayers, and that you want to highlight the fact that they're a special part of your family. You could use it for healing. So if you've got, which has been another subject of mine that I've been dealing with, because what I've gone over in the past, well, yesterday I gone over one of my personal physical healings that I've been dealing with. And there again, you could place certain objects that would be very healing for you, or that would bring out that aspect of you that you could focus on, and it would take you into maybe a guided imagery or bring an image for you. And maybe you want it just for faith. So you could have a combination of these things all together. But faith is what we all, we all want to have faith and we all want to have hope. And so that's a beautiful thing to bring into this, because that's what this is about. It's about creating a belief, it's about creating a faith in you, because you're the one that is bringing out these elements and things in you to transfer out to the rest of the world, to your family. So you are the one that has the faith in you. And so you need to think about, what do you want to bring more of into your life? I think that I've wanted to bring in so many different things at different points in my life. When I was much younger, it was about, it was more, focused a lot on something greater than me, but it was also a lot about guided imagery and how I saw myself operating in the world. And when I was living and working in Manhattan, there was just so many things that were going on, and in my life at that time. And I wanted to create a bigger space for myself. I wanted a bigger place to live, and I was single at that time. So I did a lot of meditation around that, around creating the perfect spot. And this was very critical for me, because I knew, first of all, I had a belief. I had a belief that, my centering of myself, which is the other element of what happens when you put yourself in contemplation like this, is that you become very centered and you become very focused. So it's a beautiful thing. So all kinds of things that you are thinking about in your life, you can focus on those issues. Perhaps you want to bring in more peace. Perhaps this is about money. Now, I know this is a trigger for people, because they think, oh, you should not think about having money, because money is just greed. Money is not about spirituality. Well, what do you think money is? Money is spirituality. Money is spiritual. It's spiritual, and it's in that form. Everything on this planet is spiritual. So money is too. And that's a whole other dynamic. I've done workshops on abundance and money, and it's not just about, I just want lots of money because I just feel like I want to have lots of money. But why do you want to have money? What is the piece of money that's important for you? What abundance is it going to bring into your life? And what will it create for you and your family? Is it just about things, or is it about experiences, like going on vacations? Or is it about making sure that you have the best food possible, organic foods that are healthy? Is it I'm sorry about that. Is it about creating more of, let's say that you want to have something to give to a family member that's in need. Maybe it's about giving to other people. Perhaps it's about starting an organization or a foundation. I should say, I know somebody who started a foundation after her daughter died a horrible death, a fast death, but it was a child that my daughter went to school with, and her family started this great foundation in her name. And what it really does is it provided extra money for people who wanted to do this kind of education. And I always thought that was such a great thing. But that is a purpose that is created out of something that's beautiful. So money and not having enough of it is, we have to always look at ourselves, at different points in time. I have been without money, struggling with it, but I have always found that the right thing happened at the right time for me. And the clearer that I got, about my idea of what money was and what money could do for me and what the element of money meant to me, the more that my abundance was being created and the more money that I would have that was coming to me at the right time. So clearing our money problems, our money blocks, is it's about clearing the space inside of you to create more of that abundance of being able to believe that you're worthy of having this kind of abundance. And oftentimes people don't think they're worthy of it, or they think that it's ungodly, or they think that it's, you know, this terrible place that's just about greed. Well, it's only that way. People make it that way because money itself doesn't have that kind of attachment. We put the attachment on it. It's how we utilize it that really makes the difference. So perhaps you want to bring more health into your life. Now, that was another thing that I worked on and that I'm still working on in terms of health. So, as we talked about, or as I brought up yesterday, the element of, doing something meditative or guided imagery will lower your blood pressure. It lowers your A1C. It's only 10 minutes of doing something where you're sitting quietly and you're creating this relaxing environment that it will go internally. It'll lower your blood pressure, lower your cholesterol, lower your A1C, um, numerous other things that it can do for you. But you have to do it, right? Right? Consistency. Maybe you want to bring in more joy in your life. And certainly having an altar can do that for you because you could look at the items that you have on there. You could maybe see a picture that is significant to you, and immediately it'll bring you joy. It'll bring you joy because those are items that you're placing there that are coming from you out of joy. They're coming from you out of love. So you want to pick out items that inspire you, that represent your highest self. And you want to trust your intuition when you're doing this. So the items could be like they could be candles. Fresh flowers are a favorite of mine, or herbs. Crystals, in particular, I think amethyst, because amethyst is very healing, and quartz. Specific books. Maybe you have an inspirational book. I used to, I haven't done this in a while because I don't get the magazine anymore. But for years, what I did was I read. They would have a page a day of reading a particular story that was inspirational in this magazine called Science of Mind. It's a wonderful magazine, and I've always had intentions to getting it again, but it's hard to find. I'm going to have to order it. So that's another thing. Books, of course, favorite books, and photos of loved ones. Like again, like I said, it's like perhaps people that have passed on, spiritual figures or spiritual pictures, perhaps one of Christ, perhaps it's a god or goddess for you. I have all of these things that I have. So, and I traveled and I went to India, and it was so incredible because India is all about spirituality. India is all about love. India is, people say, well, it's very dirty there. Well, it has those elements too, but people are very invested in sentient beings. They don't really believe in killing them. Well, that's if you're a Hindu, but so many of them are vegetarian. But they still believe in being kind. So even in the big cities like Delhi, there's a lot of kindness that operates. And with any place, there's going to be things that are problematic, and there are problems there too, for sure. But the biggest takeaway for me was the spiritual element that's imbued in just about everything that's there. And I went on a spiritual journey into the Himalayas. which was unbelievable. And I went to several temples, and this was a spiritual journey that people that are from India believe in doing, because there are 5 different temples that you go to, which I did, and there are 5 different places that you go to, and the Ganges was amazing. It was beautiful. They call it Mother Ganga. Um, there was, the uh, different types of ways that they celebrate spirituality and what they honor. They honor so many different things. And it seems like it's, again, like I said, it's imbued in everything. So I've got a spiritual picture that is relevant to me, and I've got certain ones of temples in my home that I still really honor and believe in, because I like the element of what it's saying. I like the understanding of what it's bringing to me. Um, Out in my yard, I have a Kuan Yin, and I have Kuan Yin also on another portion of my house, and another one. So these things are important. As they consider her the spiritual Buddha, the female Buddha, I mean. So these things are very important. They're all throughout my life and all throughout my home, because my home is where I'm creating something that hopefully I'm taking out into the world, and that I'm passing along to everybody, and that it's creating more of what I'm bringing out there. So this is what I'm passing on to you. So people will put on nature items, like shells, or um, pine cones, or pieces of wood, or a favorite stone. I've got a rock on my altar that is something that my daughter had picked up years ago. And there's something about that rock that I really resonate with, because first of all, it's from her, and it's part of nature. So as we talked about yesterday, I look all around me, and I see the death and the rebirth of everything, everything. Um, Also, bells and chimes. Bells and chimes are significant too. When I grew up in the Catholic Church, that was another one of my favorite things. Is I loved when they rang the bells. And subsequently, I found out many years later that the all of a sudden, I can't think of the name of the sect. It's a spiritual sect of Catholicism, and they're called the oh goodness, I can't believe I forgot it. Um, anyway, can't remember it, but it's a spiritual sect that not a lot of people know about in Catholicism, and they use the bells and the chimes, and that's, to me, that's incredible, and it puts you into a meditative state. It's sort of like putting you into this altered place just by the bells, just by incense. That's why incense is such a wonderful thing to also have on your altar and to burn too, which I do that every morning. It clears the air, and it brings in that sense of spirituality. You could also place feathers, whatever seems to work for you. Um, so I always recommend that people sage their homes anyway, which is getting sage, and it usually comes tightly packed, and you burn it, and people put it oftentimes in a dish, because there are going to be ashes that are going to come off of it, or that are going to fly around. So for me, that's what I do. I place it in something that's got a little bit of depth to it. I light it, and I go around my home, and usually I do that maybe, I don't know, every few months, I think. But the area where I'm going to be is the altar, is one of the areas that I always like to make sure that I have smudged, and I actually do that, I think, with incense. So that's how you bless your altar. So you're blessing your altar with the sage or with the incense, and at the same time, you're bringing in this element of gratitude, because gratitude is a critical element in terms of being able to take in more and being able to then give out more. So you want to set aside at least 5 or 10 minutes a day and invite really good energy in while you're sitting at your altar, okay? Because you can ask for it to come in, you can invite it in, without saying anything. It just might be a feeling that you have. For me, as soon as I sit down in front of it, I'm feeling it. So, what can it do? What can having an altar do? It invites more happiness. And who doesn't want more happiness? It enhances your life outlook because you're concentrating on all these wonderful things, even if something is bringing you a sense of sadness. The more that you bring that into your space, your sacred space, and you focus on the the joy of whatever it is of that person or that situation or blessing them, the more it lifts your heart. And when you're in grief, it's very hard. But I found that for me, when I was grieving the deaths of my two brothers, because as I said before, on Monday, they happened very close together, it was only 3 months apart. And I was incredibly angry after the second brother. After the first brother, I felt I had this spiritual connection. After the second brother, it took me almost 6 years to really get into a different space, but I had to keep seeking and I had to keep doing things. And, one of the things that really helped me a lot was being in community and being with a group of people that resonated the same things that I did in terms of wanting to know more and wanting to better myself and wanting to promote growth. So it can enhance your life outlook. Um, the sacred space serves as your spiritual center. That's really what it is, serving as your spiritual center, but it's a place of joy. It, you know, it's bringing out elements and focusing on your highest self, the highest part of you. So even if you're not aware of what the highest part of you is, if you start doing this every day and you start focusing on some of the things that are bringing you joy at the moment, you're going to find yourself feeling uplifted and you're going to find that your heart is going to open more. And when you have more of an open heart, you also are bringing in more love. So this creates peace, tranquility. You're inviting positive energy. And what I wanted to do today, and I hope I can do this, is I wanted to take you to see my altar so that you can understand what it is that I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull this up now so that I can bring the group into this. And okay, let's see. Okay, it says that I'm live now. Okay, so I'm going to take you in to see my altar. Hopefully, I'll be able to do this. I'm just hoping that I can do this with the phone, and I think I can. It's a little bit delayed. I just got a little bit scared or something. People are laughing at me because I had that. There's a part of me that every time I see something different that's not supposed to be there, so I'm trying to. Okay, well, anyway, that didn't work with the phone. So what I'm doing now is, let's see, I hope I'm getting this. Okay, so now if you look at it, I have, if you see up on top, you see Ganesh in the frame. So that is a spiritual guide for me that removes obstacles. And I love the spirit of what Ganesh represents because representing the remover of obstacles, bringing in knowledge, to me, that's a wonderful thing. I have fresh flowers there that are very important to me because I feel like it's honoring the spirit of who I am. And if you look at the picture down there, it is actually, it is like a Madonna. There it is, Madonna. And so that's like the spirit of Mary. And then if you see the amethyst that is there, there is a beautiful amethyst. And there is this wooden thing, which is here. And the reason that I like this here is because that's a piece of wood from my childhood home that was a stagecoach stop. And it burned down. And that is one of the things that my husband retrieved so that I could have that. I'm so glad that he did too. There is my little Buddhas. Okay, there's one of them. And there is my beloved elephants. Anybody that knows me know that I love elephants. I love sentient beings. I was at an elephant sanctuary in India, and I thought first of all, it was incredible. So some of these, if you look at this by the flower, this is from the Ganges, the water from the Ganges. And that's very special to me too, because there were many ceremonies there. There is a candle which brings peace, my incense, and there is a turtle back there. And there's my beautiful little turtle. Isn't he cute? And there's my rock that from my daughter that I value very much. I'm trying to think where she got it. I don't remember now, but there's two of them there. And then there is another stone there, and my chimes, my little bell. So we ring my little bell. I love that. So that's part of my my Catholic upbringing, and it's also, part of the Buddhism that I really enjoy and that I adhere to a lot, and my incense. So, and these are Japanese incense, which I find to be the purest. Anyway, that's my belief. And then there is, of course, the pine cones in the back, which have to do with natural elements. So these things I really love, really, really love. Now I'm going to go back again. Okay. Well, that was an experiment. So, and I decided to do that because I just didn't want to take pictures and show you pictures. I really wanted to show you the real deal. And so I hope that you enjoyed that. Anyway, whoops. Okay, I thought I lost myself there for a second. So if anybody has any questions, because we're almost at the end, we're at the top of the hour, that I wanted to remind you to post homework. And there is something where you can post your homework there. And all you have to do is really respond to one question, because today what we talked about was if you look in the booklet, okay, and you have to ask for the booklet. And if you didn't get one, just please ask for a booklet, and Kaylee will get that over to you. But it was the benefits of creating sacred space. And I think we talked so much about the benefits of creating sacred space. The other question is what to place in a sacred space. And absolutely anything that brings you joy and that helps you to feel connected. All of those things are really important. Anything that you feel is uplifting and it's bringing light to your life, okay? So I want to thank you all for being here. If you have questions or you're not understanding something, I just want to remind people that they can always post on this page, and I will respond to you. And if you need further clarification and you want to talk to me, we can certainly do that. But I just want you to know that all these things are very, very important. And I just want to be able to make sure that, people can understand what I'm talking about, and that I am saying things that, resonate and that make sense to you. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And tomorrow we will be talking about circadian rhythm. Okay, that's a good topic too. And I will speak with you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your evening. Nice that you were here. I really appreciate it. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, bye-bye.